That's one of the things that definitely, when you come to CEOs and entrepreneurs, is that one of the biggest challenges that we have is that we don't want to name it.
Right.
We don't want to be we don't want to be vulnerable to an emotion or a feeling. And one of the things I teach my client is that an emotion or a feeling is just an emotion that wants to communicate with us and leave. So like, if I'm going up against something new and I'm feeling, listen to the way I'm saying it, I'm feeling sadness or I'm feeling fear. I'm not fearful. I'm feeling the feelings or the emotions of fear. So if I can ever just stop and allow myself to have that feeling, be in the moment, be present with it, and allow it to communicate with me and allow it to tell me exactly what I need. And then that's when you can truly move forward.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Trust This. Today, we're going to have a Master Series podcast with Curtis McCullom. Curtis helps CEOs, founders, and entrepreneurs eliminate the blind spots that have silently held them back since childhood, unlocking greater income, confidence, and personal freedom. Through his LGET mindset framework, learn, grow, expand, and transform, and modalities like NLP, mental emotional release, and hypnotherapy, Curtis helps clients reprogram subconscious blocks for deep, lasting transformation. As the host of the Curtis McCullom Show, he shares his insights from top leaders on success, mindset, and personal growth. His belief is your next level is already within you, and Curtis helps you unlock it. His website is bespokehumanpotentialcoaching.com. His Instagram is at curtis.mccullum. That's with 2 C's and 2 L's and O-M. And his podcast, of course, is The Curtis McCullom Show. We'll put links down below for all this. And today I want to talk with Curtis, sort of pick his brain about what he does, how he does it, and what some of these things mean up here. We talked about the LGET mindset, mental emotional release hypnotherapy. We want to get into that. So Curtis, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do first, and then we'll get into some more questions after that.
Yeah. First of all, thank you, Joe, for having me on your show. I think it's going to be we're going to have a great time today. What I do, I know we were talking a little bit and kind of joking about it, about coaching and how many different types of coaches are out there. And I'm like, the only reason I say the word coaching is because that's what people kind of associate with it. I think what I do is more expansive than that, because most coaches work from the outside in, meaning cognitively, they ask you what your goals and what your dreams and all this stuff are. And what I do is I go in and says, okay, what is it that's actually blocking you from becoming the best version of yourself? So I wanted to find out what are the root causes that we need to pull up. We need to kind of till the soil to make sure that we have a strong foundation. Then we layer on top of that, goal setting and vision and those types of things. So one of the things that I do is help individuals get rid of those blind spots, those areas in their life that's actually stopping them from becoming who they really want to become.
So how did you get into this? How did you discover this is what you want to do and this is where you fit best?
Well, that's a great question. I started this about 35 plus years ago when I went into sales. When I went into sales 35, 40 years ago, I wanted to become a motivational speaker, a sales trainer. That's what they were called back then. Like the Tom Hopkins, the Zig Ziglars, the Jim Rohns, and the Tony Robbins had just started his movement. And so I studied all of these guys. I listened to the tapes, I listened to the recordings, and that's what I wanted to become. So I started in sales and became number one in the company within less than a year and a half, using hypnotherapy and using kind of mindset and meditation type techniques. So long story short, it didn't happen then. Like I tell people, it was like if you had the biblical story of the children of Israel kind of wandered in the wilderness for like 40 years. That's kind of like my story. I don't suggest people do it that way, Joe, but basically it took me about 35 years to get to where I am now, to where I got in a position where I could retire in financial services. And then I started the coaching with the hypnotherapy, neurolinguistic programming, and also mental and emotional release.
See, now that's the thing. A lot of coaches, I agree with you. I think a lot of coaches just look at the outside and they're like, I'm here to help you with your goals and things. But it sounds like you go deeper than that. You really get into the brain, the neuroscience of it, with hypnotherapy and everything. How did you get into hypnotherapy? Where did that come from?
That came from, um, when I was going for number 1, there was a guy I used to study, his name was I can't think of his name just slips me right now, but I studied his recordings, and, like, I used to do a sleep programming. It was called Ultra Monetary Success, and I did the sleep programming. One of my friends introduced me to hypnotherapy, and so I just loved it. I love the fact of meditation and kind of getting into the mind. And what hypnotherapy is number one, is a natural state of mind that we all go through this feeling of trance about every 90 minutes every day. So what I do is I help individuals go in trance on purpose with purpose so that they can now tap into that layer of thinking, bypassing the critical mind so that they can actually, it's like a flow state. So I got into hypnotherapy way back then, but then when I started coaching 6 years ago, I got a certification as an executive coach, and I started doing executive coaching. I'm like, "Ah, this is not me," you know? I'm like, "Nah, this is not what I wanna do." So I went back and got a certification as a clinical hypnotherapist, also a master practitioner in neurolinguistic programming, and also mental and emotional release. So it kind of came together. So now I combine all of those modalities, including coaching, into this infrastructure where I call the legit mindset, which is learning, growing, expanding, and transforming.
So tell us about those different stages. What is the learning, growing, expanding, and transforming? What are those? What are they?
Basically, what they are is that the learning part of it is actually really going beneath the surface, understanding your subconscious mind. This is the thing that most people don't understand, Joe, is this, is that only 5% of our mind power is conscious. That's our analytical, our willpower, the things that we set goals with, you know, all of those things are what we call is on the conscious level. Well, 95% of most of your brain power is on the subconscious level. So first of all, I educate individuals on that concept, and then we help them uncover what is it that's actually in the 95% that's stopping them from getting what they want to get. Want they set the goals they set for the 5%. So the learning is actually uncovering these and releasing these blind spots, these patterns, these beliefs, these that's kind of running the show that most people have no idea that these things are actually running.
Interesting. So what does the growing do? Once they've learned, they can grow.
Basically, the growing is basically now letting go of that what no longer serves us. That's when we actually we learn through the with hypnotherapy and with mental and emotional release. We release all of this baggage, what I call baggage, limiting beliefs, limiting thoughts, negative emotions, anger, guilt, sadness, all of these things. We release what I call in a 1 day mindset reset. And now we can grow because now we have now taken care of all the things that no longer serves you. We release those old emotions, and now you can actually have the right foundation in the soil to grow. And then kind of leads you to the expansion, which is now we can set those goals. And I see the order that I set it in is that most coaches start with goal setting. What stops an individual is the fact that if I set a goal and I have a limiting belief that I'm not good enough, at some point in this on my path on this journey of getting my goal, I'm going to hit a wall again because I did not release that does not serve me. So that's where the expansion comes in. That we're aligning our choices. We actually now taking inspired action. We taking actions based on the new beliefs and the behaviors that we have.
And it transforms your life beyond that.
Absolutely transforms your life. Now, in transformation, what we do, part of my practice is that I create what we call a bespoke daily mental supplement, just like think about a vitamin supplement where we need to take to make sure that our bodies get the nutrients and the things that maybe food does not give us. So what I create for my clients is bespoke daily mental supplements. These are customized recordings based on the new behaviors and the new beliefs that they want to incorporate in their lives. So they listen to it about 5 minutes a day or so. And they change based on the length of coaching that we do with each other. We might upgrade them, change them a little bit, but for the most part, the original recording where we've released all the baggage and they got all the new learnings that they need to get, that recording is kind of really germane to the new conditioning, and that's what most people don't understand. Change happens quickly, what we do, but in order for it to be permanent, you still need to condition the change. Think about like dental hygiene, you need mental hygiene where you continue to refresh and to kind of continue to kind of grow with that. That's the transformation part.
Do you find that anybody tends to get stuck in any one of those stages at any point?
Well, I guess over time a person can, but they don't usually, because when I'm working with them, one of the things that we do is because we are going from the root cause versus the leaves, think
Mhm.
about a tree. We got a tree,
Right,
and a tree basically has all these leaves, all these issues, all these things. Where if
right.
we now get to the root and plant the right nutrients in the roots, that means that we're going to have a better tree. Does that mean that a person would never experience things like that? No. What it means is that now they have better resources in order to handle situations so that they can kind of move through life better and faster and quicker and easier than before. So they're always moving. That's where the legit mindset or the learning, growing, expanding, transforming think happens is like this, Joe, is every time we reach a new plateau, we have a feeling or emotion that says, "Oh, I'm scared, I'm frightened," because growth always kind of stops us. But what happens is that that's the whole ideal of the process of learning, growing, expanding, and transform. It continues to move forward as you grow. You continue to use the same process of learning, growing, expanding, and transforming. Now, because I'm something new that I'm coming up against, I need to, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? How can I expand? And how can I transform again? And I continue to continue that process.
Yeah, it's sort of like a lesson I learned long ago. It's called "Name It to Tame It," and part of it is figure out what it is and name it. But most people, we don't have that those internal tools built into us to go, oh, I can tell I'm scared of this because, and
Right.
so now I've named it and I can tame it and I can just move forward. It's so much easier said than done.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and that's one of the things that definitely when you come to CEOs and entrepreneurs is that one of the biggest challenges that we have is that we don't want to name it.
Right.
We don't want to be we don't want to be vulnerable to an emotion or a feeling. And one of the things I teach my client is that an emotion or a feeling is just an emotion that wants to communicate with us and leave. So like, if I'm going up against something new and I'm feeling, listen to the way I'm saying it, I'm feeling sadness or I'm feeling fear. I'm not fearful. I'm feeling the feelings or the emotions of fear. So if I can ever just stop and allow myself to have that feeling, be in the moment, be present with it, and allow it to communicate with me and allow it to tell me exactly what I need. And then that's when you can truly move forward and in the growth process. Most of us, we come up against something, and what we do, we push it down. We're like, okay, okay. And when it keeps coming back, hey, I'm here. I'm feeling this feeling when you keep pushing me away, and it keeps coming back. And sometimes it comes back in the body, it comes back the way we feel, our back, our neck, all this stuff start to ache because of the fact that we're not allowing that emotion to actually communicate with us.
Yeah. Yeah. I've done that with back pain before that my back's hurting. It's like, okay, what stress am I carrying with me and why? And it's you don't have to solve it right then, but you at least have to name it and go,
Yes.
"Okay, this is what's going on. This is why my back's." And it's amazing because after you identify it, at least you're like, your back just stops hurting.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Oh, I
crazy.
totally I love it because that's what happens with the mind. So on a mind level, what happens is thinking about with the subconscious mind, once it get what it needs to learn from it, it normally releases the energy around whatever's happening. case in point is like your back. In the language that you were using, what am I carrying? Think of, and a lot of people says, man, this is heavy. This is really difficult. This is heavy for me. And they feel like they're carrying weights, right? And so if they communicating that them with themselves and allow themselves to actually get and it might not come right away, sometimes it does, and sometimes it may be a day or two, but it will give you an answer. But the key to it, and what I try to teach my clients is this, Joe, is once you get an answer, especially if something that is inspire you to do something, do it. It's like sometimes you get this feeling, oh my God, if I make this call, and then it says make the call or call this person or do this thing, that's the one thing you should be doing. You should actually do it quickly. I think that's so important too. Taking
Yeah, I
and let
that's the
them
first thing
inspire.
that's the first thing I go to now when my lower back starts hurting. The first thing I go to is, "Okay, stop. What are you worried about right now? What is in the back of
Yeah,
your
I
mind that
love
is
it.
worrying you so much?" And a lot of times I'll just sort of search around thinking it's like, "Oh, yeah, I've got this client. I haven't been able to get to their project yet, and I feel really bad about that." And really just as soon as I just identify that, my
Yes.
back feels great. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, that pain went away. Um, I may not done anything about it yet, but at least I identified it.
Well,
What are
well,
some
basically, go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say, what are some other examples of things that you've seen, uh, people uncover about themselves that were holding them back? What are some examples of that?
Well, one, I like to always use myself as an example sometimes. Even lately, 3 months ago, I would say 3 months ago. Like I told you before we got on the air, I'm from Mississippi, so time does not have a factor here. I might say it was yesterday, and it was not. It might have been a year ago, but what it was that I had this feeling. Well, what was happening, Joe, was this. I was helping a lot of clients getting a lot of breakthroughs. Some things was happening quick, fast, and they were like turning their lives around. But still, with myself, there was something not really moving like I wanted to move. And so I stopped and asked myself the question, just like you said, what is it? Not why. Guys, never ask yourself why questions, because your subconscious mind would take you to a place where you don't want to go. It'll tell you all the reasons why you are doing what you're doing. And it might not be pretty. But I asked myself, what was it? And the answer came back to me is that success is hard and difficult. Like, wow, when did this start? And so I call a friend of mine. So I call him. His name is Coach Cav. And Coach Cav, I says, "Hey man, do a mental and emotional release session with me on the thoughts that success is hard and difficult." And I knew that it was a challenge because every time I would reach a plateau, I would kind of sabotage a little bit because I felt that success is hard and difficult. Well, long story short is when we did the session, when I asked my subconscious mind on a light hypnosis, when did this first happen? And what came up was I was 2 years old. Oh, great. Didn't know what happened at two. But then what we do in the mental and emotional release, we allow a person to now to go and allow their subconscious to find that emotion, to look at it, to get learnings from it. And what I learned from it when I looked down on it, that I was strong, I was persistent, and I'm courageous. That's my learning. And I came back to now giving all the instances that learning. Well, I was curious, so I called my mom. I says, "Mom, what was happening in my life at around age 2?" She's like I said, she's a country woman from Mississippi. "Well, baby, what happened was I was pregnant with your sister, and you were around 18 months, and around 18 months, I was trying to potty train you because I didn't want two babies in diapers at the same time." I said, "Oh, okay." She said, this is what she said. "And it was hard and difficult for you to be potty trained." The same language that I was using now at age 60 was the same language that I accepted and decided when around age 2 that that's where the baggage lies. That's why I said sometimes in the opening, you said, well, some of the things that are happening in our lives, it might be so deep in the subconscious that we don't know it consciously. And what we do as a coach, what I do as a coach, I help you reveal or uncover what that was so you can release it around it. And as soon as I released it, then I was able to freely do the things I wanted to do. I was just like more productive, and things just start to happen as things start to open up. That's how it kind of works.
You use the term self-sabotage, and I hear that a lot. Do you ever find some people who just maybe they don't feel like they deserve or they shouldn't succeed? It's, sort of like, "Hey, I'm doing so well, I shouldn't be doing this well." Maybe
Yes.
imposter syndrome, and how do they get past that?
Basically, once again, think about, we talked about a little bit about the subconscious mind. Where in the subconscious mind, the 95% are known associations, their beliefs, their values, there are things that, all the things that we have experienced in the past are there. So you talk about, and so all the attitudes. So somewhere in your belief system, you accepted or decided that you're not good enough, you're not worthy, or you're not, I'm an imposter. When did that happen? I don't know until I ask you what it is. But usually there's a root cause of that. And that's a feeling or an emotion that has been carried with us, sometimes as late as between 0 and 7. That's when we formulate a lot of our beliefs. Now, a limiting belief like I'm not good enough could easily come when you were 17 or 18 or 12 and you had your first girlfriend and she quit you. And all of a sudden she's like, you're not worth anything, right? You're like, oh, I'm not good enough for you. Yeah, and so you accepted and decided that behavior or belief. So yeah, we have to just figure out when was the root cause of that belief, and then we release the energy around it and get a new learning from it.
And the hypnosis helps you to do that.
Yes, basically hypnosis and mental and emotional release is a form of, it's a what I call a hypnotic modality. And the hypnotic modality is basically allowing someone to, is like a hypnosis, but not truly like a hypnosis. Is my might says, okay, Joe, close your eyes, take some deep breathing. Now I'm telling you to go into a trance, but in mental and emotional release, we don't do what we call an induction for that. But yes,
Okay, okay. Um, how can entrepreneurs recognize when they're facing a business problem versus a mindset problem?
I think it's probably sometimes one and the same.
Yeah.
You're talking about a mindset problem or business problem, or it's really how you actually interpret it, right? So I feel a mindset or a block, I call them a block. If we have a block is a block. I mean, a blind spot is a blind spot, and all of us have blind spots. The question is that blind spot or block or mindset preventing you from getting what you want? See, because like some things, like right now, my hair is graying. Okay. Is that going to stop me from being the best version of myself? No, it's just a part of life and I can handle it. But if I say, oh my God, my hair is gray, I need to do something about it because it's stopping me from actually being the best version of myself, then I need to maybe color it or do something different with it. So as long as you're moving forward and it's not a problem, it's not a problem, you
Mhm.
know. But if it's a problem when now I want to break $100,000, right? I've been like right at 85, 90, and I can't break through. And I truly desire, I want it really, really bad, but I can't break through.
Mhm.
Now I have a desire for it, but something is actually blocking me or preventing me in business. Also, it could be a business mindset. It could be, like I said, it could be one and the same.
Do you ever have people who say, "Well, this is just the way I am, and there's no changing it because it is me"? I mean, I've heard people say this when they have, true problems, and
Mhm.
drugs are recommended. Prescription drugs are recommended to help them do that, and they're like, "Well, why would I do that? That's not me." Do you ever have anybody who says, "Well, this is who I am. I just need to learn how to work through me as I am. There is no changing me."
Well, basically, I think one of those things, if you think you are, you are. Whoever if you accept that as a belief, that's your belief.
Mhm.
I mean, the difference in a person accepting, and so like I hate to put labels on individuals. I mean, it's like, because that's what people do. They put a label and then they become the label. like, um, I'm I'm sad. Well, I'm not sad, I'm feeling sad, or whatever it is. So if a person decides that's who they are until they decide something different, I can't. I mean, it's not. I can't wave a magic wand over you and says, "Hey, you're going to be different regardless of what you want." No, this is this is this is a sport that we both have to kind of participate in. I'm just the facilitator of your resources that are within you. I believe that everyone has all the resources within themselves to become the best version of themselves. So when a person comes to me, I don't see them as being broken. I don't see them as being bad. I just see them as they have not been able to tap into the resources that they truly need. So if a person says, I don't have it, I can't convince you that you do. You got to say, hey, look, this is where I am now on my journey. I want to become better. And then we can definitely do something about that.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people hit their plateaus all the time. It's and a lot of people also, a lot of entrepreneurs especially, they feel like they got there by luck. They don't, not through their hard work or through their thinking, and they really just don't. They feel we call it they're stuck. They're stuck. They
Yeah.
just don't know how
You
to get
stuck.
past that. So it sounds like what you do is very good for people who feel stuck where they
Oh,
are.
absolutely. Absolutely. And that,
Yeah.
basically it's like a stuck feeling is a feeling. It's a blind spot. It's like, oh, I can't move. I want to move, but I feel like I've reached my plateau, but I still feel like I have so much more to offer, but I just don't know what to do to actually move forward. That's the person who comes to me and says, hey, I've tried everything. I've done this and I've done that and I've done this and I don't know what to do. And I'm like, hey, we'll get it done. Basically when they come to me in the one day, what I call a 1 day mindset reset, where we actually take a 3 hour session that we go through before we start anything else. We go through the 3 hour session that we get rid of all of the things that they came in with. We make sure that they're released that day, kind of do a reset, and then now we're ready to actually coaching.
Oh, wow. Wow. So, yeah, so tell me about that. How does your process work with someone? Is it usually are you working with folks who are in their usually in their 50s, their 40s, 30s? Where in their career or where in their entrepreneurial journey are they? And what does that process look like when they come to work with you?
Well, my clientele is varied. I'm working with 50-year-olds, sometimes early 60s, and then as early as 35, 30,
Mm.
I would say. It's really and truly because I was talking to a friend of my daughter the other day, and she's in her 30s and she has a block. So it's not like, it's like a lot of, I can work with kids. I choose not to, but yeah, but I can, so it doesn't really matter who it is. So it's just as long as you now can't you realize that you definitely have a challenge. But the whole idea, the process is what we talked about, going back to the legit mindset. The process is number one, finding out what is the greater problem. When a person comes to me and they come with me, they they have this baggage of I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not capable, I'm not lovable. Uh, um, Money blocks, I can't make the money that I want to make. All of these are what I call issues, right? Think about a tree. So when they come to me, they have all of these different leaves on the tree that needs to be pruned. But what we try to do first is look at the root of the problem, and what we call a greater problem. What is it that's driving all of this behavior? And usually it's one of the bigger ones. Usually a person end up in their language and through the cognitive part of the breakthrough will come up, or they'll come up with, wow, that's it. I not feel like I'm not worthy to be whatever. And so that's what we call a greater problem. So now we know what is the root cause, what is the greater problem. So if we get rid of that problem, then we know that everything else is going to kind of fall apart. So that's where we start. And then once we go through that, we do what I call mental and emotional release. And basically that session we get the problem. We just say we always start with anger. Everybody's usually in all the sessions, people feel anger for something, something that happened in their life. And so we always start to get rid of all the anger around an emotion. So we go with anger, sadness, guilt, shame, and then we then go to the limiting beliefs. And the question I ask the client is, first of all, ask permission again. Is it okay for you to release this feeling or emotion and be aware of it today, consciously? Yes or no? And then the second question, what is the root cause of this problem? What is the first event? Which that we can release the energy around the first event, then it would be released permanently. If you were to know, was it before, during, or after birth? And so now we're getting a time where they happen. The problem actually came up. I said three things: before, during, or after birth. Now this is kind of where it gets interesting for some and not for all, because sometimes it's genealogical, meaning baggage from my dad, my granddad, my great granddad, genealogical. Sometimes people come up with that it was in a past life, meaning like, so a lot of people say, "Oh, is there a past life?" I don't know. I can't tell you or not. Only thing I know is that if my client tells me that's where it happened, that's where we're going to take it. I don't judge. I just do the work. Right. So if it's a past life for them, it's okay. It's not a big deal. Is it real or not? I don't know. If I release the negative energy and they move forward and they're the better for it, I've done my job. Or normally it happens between 0 and 7, usually around 2 or 3. Sometimes people don't in the book of Biology of Beliefs by Dr. Bruce Lipton, he talks about the fact that sometimes it does happen in the womb. The mother transfers energy to the child, and the child picks up on it. And so that's kind of where we start. We kind of figure out where it started based on where they feel like it started. And then that's when we figure out what are the learnings we can learn from that event.
Okay. Wow. Wow. Um, Going to your podcast, the Curtis McCullum Show, have you seen any recurring themes between those who grow and those who plateau?
The ones who grow, usually they hit a spot but they continue to move forward. Meaning like you said before, they acknowledge something is happening and they either allow it to be released and they continue to move forward. They have a persistence about themselves that's bar none. I mean, it's like there's no joke in determination and persistence. Meaning these guys, and I've talked to some great entrepreneurs, and most of them start out just like we do. They put their pants on the same way we put their pants on, or dress, whatever you want to call it. But what they do different is that their mindset is different, meaning that but they, and then at the same time, um, and if there is a problem, like you said, they acknowledge it and kind of move forward from it, and continue to move forward.
Sounds like they're pragmatic. It's like it is what it is. Now let's deal with what it is and let's move
Yes,
on.
let's keep
Yeah.
moving. Yes.
Yeah, we don't deal with what we wish it were. Well, it's been great talking to you today. You're fascinating. One thing that we always do when we wrap up the show is our mission is to help people aspire to a better life. So the one question I always ask all my guests is, who is someone who has helped you aspire to a better life?
That's a great question. I would probably say Um, my favorite author is Napoleon Hill, and Think and Grow Rich. I went back about 2 years ago. I feel like I'm from Mississippi, so time is not a factor. But I went back and I looked at his 13 principles, and I looked at my legit mindset and how he actually operates in my in in my practice almost mirrors some of the things that he talked about in his book. So I'll probably say Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich is is the foundation for what I do. He talked about the subconscious mind. He talks about the ghost of fear. And he talks about a lot of those things and being persistent and being all of those things that I talk about and mindset. Kind of that's what he talked about. So I'll probably say Napoleon Hill.
Wonderful, wonderful to hear that. Well, again, thank you so much. I know we had to postpone this for a week because I got sick last week. I'm thank you for that accommodation for me there. Thanks for coming on again. It's been fascinating. We will put links down below, but again, bespoke humanpotentialcoaching.com. The Curtis McCullum Show, also everywhere you get your podcast. Everybody go subscribe and like. And until then, everybody, thanks for listening and trust this.
Thanks for listening to this edition of Trust This. If you got something out of it, please press like and subscribe and give us a 5-star review to help us reach others who can benefit from this series. Until next time, keep aspiring to a better life.